So you need to constantly develop new tools, create new approaches, and learn more about yourself, because that inner critic will find new pathways to attempt to come at you. We're using AI and VR for individuals to be able to come to centers and put on these VR headsets, and AI can help them in guided exploration. It's really simple.
Hey there, I'm Sagar Soni. If you are a chronic overthinker, a wannabe productivity expert, and is having a hard time understanding how to squeeze productivity out of every waking minute, but also learn how to take a chill pill, then you are in the right place. Let's learn from successful people, YouTubers, book authors, podcasters, and every other stranger that I can get my hands on. Well, figuratively, let's learn how they balance their life. Welcome to Beyond the Speech. Amber, thank you very much for joining me for this conversation today. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I was just trying to make a list. Author of the book, Silence Your Inner Critic, host of the Heart Leader podcast, and you have a foundation under your belt as well. There's so much to dive into, but to get a clearer picture, I want to know what's really your mission. What are you trying to achieve with all of these things surrounding you?
It's really simple. It's love. For us to really remember at the core of everything, when we wrap up our time through this magnificent journey of life, love is what will have mattered most. And so many of us get to the very end of that. I've had the honor of holding my grandparents' hands as they've passed, and other friends and individuals, and they get to that point, and we remember it right then, but throughout the course, somehow we forget, and we get caught up in so many other things, and we focus on what divides us. And we look at work and we think that's what consumes us. But then we're on our way out and we're like, what the heck was I doing? So Obviously. Why don't we remember that earlier on? That's it.
I see. I feel like there has to be an experience or something that led to you going towards this journey where you're exploring heart-centered living. Was there a specific moment in time that made you realize that this is what you want to focus your life on?
I would love to give some profound answer, but honestly, it's what I'm here for. I feel like from the moment I came in, it's really been my life's mission. So, no, I think I was just fortunate enough to be one who remembered that.
That's amazing.
I'll put it that way.
I see. Yeah, not everybody has that blessing with them, that they could just realize that, be aware of that this is what really matters. Knowing that from the get-go, that's impressive.
Oh, thank you.
You also talk about the inner critique because you wrote a book about it too. So now, was there a defining moment when you realized that there is some inner critique that you have that is also holding you back?
Yes. So like everyone, we go through these ebbs and these flows in our life. And I was working in a corporate job in corporate America and watching both myself and everyone else around me go into these flows where we get so concerned about what we're doing. Is it right? Am I fitting in? Am I climbing the ladder? And sacrificing my health, my family, my connections with the people I care about, and noticing that it wasn't because, some of it was pressure from the outside, but it was more the pressure from the inside, the pressure to conform, this voice inside my head that kept telling me that I'm not good enough, all of these cycles that I was telling myself. And when I noticed that, I needed to personify it, so that I could actually talk to it like it was a person. Otherwise, it was just running rampant in my head. So the moment I started doing that and I gave it an actual voice, I could catch it more often. And I started doing research around it. Like, how am I the only one this is happening to? And when I did that, I started learning just how negative our brain bias is and that we feed each other's negative brain bias. So the pressure I was feeling from the outside was more because your negativity, your negative brain bias is feeding my negative brain bias. And if it's not the negative brain bias, it's that neutral stance. So 80% of the average person's thoughts are negative. Then 18% are neutral, leaving only 2% of the average person's thoughts being positive. And that freaking blew my mind. So at that point, it was like, no, if we're going to start connecting on love and remembering that love is what matters, then we need to start moving the needle on that 2%. And the only way we're going to do that is to silence the inner critic, get it to not talk so much, and start getting things to trend backward and take that 2% to 3%, 3% to 4%, and have my 4% talk to your 4%. And then we get 8%. And that's how we start to move the needle.
It sounds so easy when you just say it, right? But doing it every day in and day out, yeah, that's a challenge then.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. The way you talk, it feels like this is your calling. The way you have found your purpose, it is a calling. Do you think that we all have it and we just need to find it? We need to find our purpose? Or is it this is how we find our purpose through our choices? So which one is it? Do you think we all have a calling, we just need to find it? Or our choices decide where our life is going to go?
I think it's both. Honestly, like we come with something that we know we would like to do. I mean, Dharma, if you believe in Dharma, but our choices help clarify that. And it doesn't mean that it's written in stone. Maybe we shift it along the way. We find something that is calling us more so in a direction as we begin to uncover it. So I would say it could be both.
Hey, quick pause. If you're enjoying this episode and getting value out of these conversations, I have a small favor to ask from you. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or Spotify or anywhere else, I would greatly appreciate if you leave a 5-star review. It's going to help more people discover this show. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my channel and drop a comment with your thoughts. I would love to hear your take as well. So let's keep these conversations going. All right, back to the episode. In the whole concept of heartfelt centered, keeping everything around that topic, I feel like empathy plays a huge role in that. And just listening to your podcast episodes and your conversations and reading the book, it feels like you believe in that too. How do you balance being deeply empathetic while staying and standing and protecting your own energy as well? Because if you are empathetic to other person, that leaves some room for being vulnerable, but now you need to protect your energy as well. Do you see, what do you think about that?
Such a great question. I've shifted in this so much in my experience through life. When I was first navigating, I was highly thrown about by other people's energies and the feelings. If someone was hurting, I would feel the hurt and I would take in that energy of the hurt. And I felt like that was a connection in that vulnerability. As I've discovered myself more and I've planted myself like an energetic tree, what I've discovered is as love flows through me, it's more like a waterfall or this huge cascade of God, source, whatever love you would want to call it. It comes through so strongly that I can plant myself like a tree and that flow enough out that I can be vulnerable and be there for people and hold that space, but I don't need to be impacted. And so Everyone has their own journey. It isn't for me to take on their journey or them to take on my journey, but we can be there for each other in the journey and interlock like the flower of life, if you will. Mm-hmm. So that's really how I see it at this point. But we all go through stages.
See, it sounds the perfect ending to what you are feeling, and now you have accomplished and you have overcome that obstacle. But practical, actionable tools, did you use any such tools? How did you even overcome this? That this is now I'm realizing that this is what I've been doing to myself. Let me fix it. Was there specific any actionable tools that you would advise others to do so that they can have this level of awareness too?
Yes, that's why we created Suivera. So
tell us more about that.
There are so many tools. I remember part of it was I would go on so many different journeys because I could feel myself being battered around by everything. And I would seek to understand, and I would get told, just be it. And I'm like, what do you mean just be it? I don't know how to just be it. If I knew how to be it, I wouldn't be asking you. That's the whole point. Mm-hmm. So I got to a point where the logical side of me was saying, I need tools. I need process. I'm a logical being and a spiritual being. So I need both sides of me to really understand. And when I would start to hit these different stages and phases where I'm like, oh, that works for me, I would document them like standard operating procedures, just like I would for business. Mm-hmm. And that's how I came up with a bunch of the tools that you'll see in Silence Your Inner Critic or through our organization, so that there were steps and cadences that we could do. Because every time someone would tell me to meditate and go within, I'd be like, I don't know what you mean. Mm-hmm. It sounds very simple. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of them, and you can get them freely through our communities and things like that, because knowledge should always be free, right?
I agree.
The connection that,
What inspired you to write the book? Is it part of the foundation as well? Or because you felt this yourself that you realized that if I can help myself, I should be able to help others as well? Is that where the book fits in?
It is. And it is through the foundation. It was one of the biggest barriers I found to self-love and then loving other people. When we're so caught in negative brain cycles and we're cycling in negative thoughts, it's really hard to hold self-love, self-compassion, self-care. And if you don't feel strong in love for yourself, then it's really hard to be vulnerable enough to open up and connect and love someone else and let them love you. So
that's fair. After reading your book, it feels like you talk about where does the inner critique gets its fuel from, what's feeding it, and then how do we silence it? But how do we even navigate it so that it helps us? Do you think that the inner critic ever fully goes away, or do we have to develop a better relationship with it?
Yeah. So just since I wrote it in a superhero narrative, because I am a mega geek and superheroes are kind of my thing, it's like any supervillain. It never goes away. And in a way you don't want it to, because just like a supervillain and a superhero, the supervillain helps the superhero level up and learn more about themselves. But you can't give it your power either. So you need to constantly develop new tools, create new approaches, and learn more about yourself, because that inner critic will find new pathways to attempt to come at you. So you have to learn new tools and techniques to silence it again when it comes at you. But if you look at it like a game and you look at it like you're the superhero of your life story, then it actually becomes kind of a neat, interesting approach.
I feel like this is a two-part thing where first you need to be self-aware of where you are lacking, but then there is a danger there that you might be self-criticizing as well. How do you think we can help ourselves differentiate between self-awareness and self-criticism?
Yeah. If you can tell me a little bit more about that question, because that could be a very deep question.
Yeah, I mean, the first step is being aware of where you lack. Let's say in the first 25% of your book talks about what feeds yourself, your inner critique, the different ways it could reshape it and shape it as you grow older, from toddler to teenager to an adult. Let's say you reach a stage where you realize, okay, I'm aware of it. Now what? Now do you say, oh wow, I suck at this. Oh my God, I'm such a loser. That's where the self-criticism comes in. But self-awareness is not for that. Self-awareness is for, okay, this is my baseline. How do I get better from here? That line is easy to cross. That's what I'm saying. That how do we even differentiate between the two? Or is that something that we all just fall into, and then you have to be aware that, let me pick myself up again, and then we move on, let's improve upon it.
Yes. It is that even the most self-aware people can get into that phase where they start kicking their own backside and thinking, all right, I suck so hard. Why do I suck like this?
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, that is such a good look here opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
because it allows us to say, okay, my ego, whether it's over ego or under ego, generally for those of us who are really kicking our own backsides, it's definitely an under ego thing. That's where I really need to boost myself up. So if you can even get a moment, community can help a lot in this standpoint. And that's why having podcasts like yours or other things that we lean into can help us go, wait a second, I am in a cycle of self-deprecation. And this self-deprecation isn't going to get me where I want to go, but it has at least highlighted the area I need to focus on. And we need to take that step. So
Yeah.
if you're not doing it yourself, then lean in on whatever community is helping you get to that next step.
Is that an accountability factor to it? Is that it? That's why it works?
It can be accountability. I know a lot of people kind of shy away from that accountability approach because it can have negative connotations at this point. They've been working out with personal trainers, and personal trainers have held them accountable, and it kind of created almost a negative connotation. It's more personal responsibility, right? We have to take personal responsibility. You can have a buddy more so than an accountability coach who's going to just drill it into you. But whatever works for you. Yeah.
Yeah. See, when you talk about self-responsibility, that's why I feel like the idea that we were talking, that self-awareness versus self-criticism, I feel like some level of negativity is important, because that's when you realize that, yeah, you really suck at this and you have all the tools, you have the discipline, you just have to implement it. So that negativity could actually help you. And I'm only saying this purely out of my own personal experience, which is why I say that 20% negativity, let it seep through, let it come in, because that will probably help you. Because if it has helped me, I'm sure it would. There are other people like me who go through the same stages of actually improving themselves and their life.
Yeah. Well, it's like pain, right? Pain has a purpose. Fear has a purpose. These things are there for a reason. If we shy away from all of them, then we're not going into the depths of what it means to be human and why they exist.
What purpose does pain have?
Well, it's telling you that something's being damaged or something is wrong. So if you shy away from it, it's one of the most beautiful things I learned in yoga. There's a difference between pain and discomfort. And if you understand the line between the two, then that's the razor's edge where you know and can really get in tune with your body.
I see.
And both have purpose.
I see. That's the difference between pain and discomfort. You have to find the line there because it's easy to fall on you either push yourself too hard to go towards the pain, or you give up too early because you face slight discomfort.
Exactly.
I see. From all of these conversations, the deep philosophies that you have, that's where your foundation comes in and your book comes in. What was the purpose behind the Heart Leader podcast?
The purpose for us is understanding that the heart has the capacity to be a creative space. And in many ways, we have neurons in our heart. We have the capacity to spark thought, not in the way that we do in our brain, but in its own way. And we so often shut down our heart when we begin to think, and we just think, does this make logical sense? But in all of the organizations that I worked for and companies I started before founding this organization, I found it was my heart that actually created that heart coherence and brought everybody in sync to get the greatest ideas and the greatest expansion before we ever had a great brainstorming session. So we desired to talk about where heart and mind align. Mm-hmm. Understanding that, doing that deep dive work, understanding our heart and who we are as humans from that heart-centered, connected space can really create more innovation, connection, leadership, whether that's in our lives, in our businesses, in our world. We really just understand that. The distance between here and here makes such a big difference. And then, of course, our throat is connected in between there. So speaking from that space, don't let it just drop from here to here and out. It doesn't always work so great. So align that so you speak from that space.
Mm-hmm. So that's why the themes or the topics that you have with either your co-host or different guests, I think you have almost 200 episodes. You keep the theme of the podcast around that. Just how do you connect your mind and your heart?
Correct.
I see. What themes do you, after recording so many episodes and talking about different topics, what themes do you notice that come up again and again with all the guests and their stories? Are there a few themes that constantly surface that you notice?
Relationships are a very big one. How disconnected relationships can become. And I believe you had Melissa Nanavati on here talking about relationships, but how disconnected those can become when all we're doing is thinking about how relationships should be instead of really feeling relationships and connecting. Another one that comes up is energy, the energy of business, the energy of personal development. So quantum energy has become quite the topic these days, where it really has. When I was studying quantum physics, nobody cared. All of a sudden, it's a very big topic, and I couldn't be happier. But that really has come into play with this new movement and how that quantum field, quantum energy comes into what does that mean for personal development? What does that mean for me as a person? So I would say that's another trend. And then how do I just become a better person? Because I don't even know where to start.
So that's one of the aims that you would think that you want to learn from that conversation that would make you a better person. And the byproduct is this is going to be a good conversation. So let's record it.
Yeah.
I see. not talking about philosophies anymore, but the actual podcast itself.
Yes.
You are a guest on this show, and you have your own show. Do you find it easier to be a guest or to be a host for a podcast?
I just find it easy to talk.
So it doesn't matter then.
It doesn't matter. I just love sharing and connecting. To me, that's the
I
best
see.
part.
Is there a strategy you have that you constantly use for preparing yourself mentally or emotionally before any conversation, either as a guest or a host?
There is. Again, I'll go back to that heart coherence that we share.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I do spend time taking time to drop into that heart-centered space on a regular basis, no matter what conversation. If I'm preparing for a meeting, I will drop into the heart space. And since I had your contact information, I was able to take time to reach out in whatever way I could because I had your name and I just wanted to connect with you energetically through that quantum field we're talking about and know your energy imprint so that I could be connected in some way. So it didn't feel like I didn't know you when I got on here with you.
Okay. I just call that being overly prepared. That's all. That's how I look at it because that's what I do too.
Yeah. It's just nice.
Yeah, why not? You mentioned your foundation, Suvera Foundation, and you described the mission behind it. In how many years has it been since you have started that foundation?
So we launched in March of 2020. The best time to start an organization. It was perfect.
Okay, so 5 years. What has been one of the, or you can name a few, rewarding moments from your work with Suvera so far?
So starting right when the pandemic lockdown unfolded globally, of course, we were not certain how that would unfold, right? We planned to start in a brick and mortar and had to pivot very quickly to going online. And that could have been the end of us, really. And instead, in less than 6 months, we had 1 million people in our community.
Okay.
It happened. That just blew our hearts wide open. So many people were so committed to understanding how to reconnect with love, to build a community, and the base of Suivera itself is we have all belief systems coming together. We are a church, but our church is all beliefs. Any religion, any belief system, as long as you come together with a common language of love and an open heart and curiosity, then we are your space to begin to explore what you believe inside. Suivera means self-truth. Sui, self, vera, truth. So it gives us all the opportunity to truly understand, because we're all looking at life through our own lens. So what is that lens of truth for you? And how can you use that to connect with that love within? And people were just drawn to that. And it's been so beautiful to watch it expand.
Okay. How can people get involved with Suivera and contribute towards this mission?
They can find us online at Suivera, SUIVERA.org. And then from there, they can spider web out. We're all over social media, on YouTube with our podcast. And we have global initiatives. So right now, we're helping put some kids through school in different countries and helping some elderly get homes. And, we've got a bunch of different things going on. So,
hey, Quick break. If you're enjoying these conversations, you're going to want to check out my Substack newsletter. I plan on sharing bite-sized insights on productivity, slowing down, and really enjoying the work that you do. No fluff, just real talk, different actionable tips that I learn, books that I read, other podcasts that I listen to, or newsletters that I read. Basically, anything that pops in my head that doesn't necessarily make it to the show. So if you're interested, use the link in my show notes and sign up for my newsletter. Let's keep these conversations going. All right? Okay, back to the episode. Where do you see this foundation going in the next, let's say, 5 or 10 years? What are the future plans?
This is so fun. I love it. Because we're so focused on kind of taking the dogma out of religion and letting individuals do self-exploration. Not that we have an issue with dogma. It's just not our thing. We're creating Suivera centers where we're using AI and VR for individuals to be able to come to centers and put on these VR headsets, and AI can help them in guided exploration. So say you have always wanted to go to the pyramids of Giza, but that's not a place that you can personally take off to for any number of reasons. This will allow you to have AI be your guide, take you there through VR, and tell you all the different religious reasons that the pyramids of Giza have served over the millennia, and answer any historic questions, any scientific questions, because whether we like it or not, science is a religion, and help people then say, well, what does it mean to me knowing all of that? What does that invoke in me? What does that spark in me? What are my beliefs now given all of that? And then we have all these different spaces where they can integrate, come together with other people, really explore and understand. So we'll have a bunch of holy sites, a bunch of books, things that they can do and explore so that they begin to understand what things mean to them using really cool tech.
Okay, that is a good plan. How long do you think this is going to take to reach at this level?
We have a 3-year plan to get the first one kicked out.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. Nice. I'll leave the link for every single one of your websites, books, everything in the show notes so people can check them out. Just from different conversations that I've heard on your podcast or even this one, it's pretty evident that you're a deeply philosophical person and you have your conversations around these topics as well. So the one philosophy that I am constantly drawn to because I want to adapt it and develop it is understanding the importance of silence. You mentioned you have a lot of tools that the foundation can help. What role do you think silence plays in improving our lives, and how does one even practice silence in our life? Or how do you practice silence in your daily life?
As if you can't tell, I'm giddy. Silence is amazing as far as a tool is concerned for me personally. It is, I've done silence retreats. I practice silence in my own life. And I can only speak to the benefits that I have received. Every person is going to feel something different, right? We can only speak to the lens that we experience and view life through. For me, when I practice silence, not only do I experience not having the frequency of sound flow through my body, which carries its own kind of frequency impact on the body nonstop. I practice silence by being away from all sound as well. So remove as much sound as I possibly can. So that gives my body time to actually relax. We don't notice how much of an impact all that frequency coming at us and coming out of us has on our body and the cells of our body until it's not there. And then when it's not there, you're just like, oh, wow, I can actually relax. Your other senses actually begin to sharpen again because you're not using the one sense that you've become so over-dependent upon to the nth degree. So that also begins to help. And then I drive inward more because I'm not spending all my time putting everything outside of myself by expressing everything outside of myself. Now I have the opportunity to go inward and explore more deeply inward. And so I find it beyond valuable.
I see. Yeah, in like logically, it all makes sense what you're saying it, but implementing this in a day-to-day life, in my experience, what I've been trying to implement is going for a walk, so no music or no podcast in the ears. Going to the gym, no Spotify playlist in the background. Or if you're cooking your breakfast, no need to have a show running in the background. Those are the little realistic, practical tips that I'm trying to implement, that I can give silence some space and quiet my background. That's where I am right now. So let's see how that goes and how it develops me, because that's the stage I am at right now. Because the way you talk about how silence is really improving and allowing you to go inward, I haven't reached that stage yet. That's why I was curious about what you would have to say about silence.
Yes. And I love what you have to say, because yes, it's how can you integrate it in whatever steps fit for you where you are. And that's the key. It's not like I ran right off to a silence retreat the moment I was like, okay, I'm ready for personal development. Let's go. I have some friends who do darkness retreats.
I don't
I'm
even
not
know what
ready
that
for a
is.
darkness retreat. So darkness retreats are where you can do 5 days, you can do 2 weeks, you can do longer. You are placed in a dark, soundproof room you have access to a bathroom, but it is complete darkness and complete soundproof. And you stay in there for as many days as you would like to stay in there.
Yeah, sounds horrifying for me, at least.
I did not sign up for that one yet. So we all have
Okay.
different stages.
Yeah, I'm not even aiming to reach that stage, so that's a no.
That's a
Yeah,
hard pass.
that's a hard
Yeah.
pass. Yeah. Yeah, from different, just from this conversation here, I feel like there are a few principles that you abide by, like maintaining love is one, maintaining silence is one. We even talked about self-discipline and self-responsibility, just being self-aware. Out of all of these ones, if there was one principle that you think one of your students would learn just by going through the experiences that you are trying to teach, what would that be?
For me, everything comes back to love, because all things are love. We want to partition out and make things so complicated. But the beauty of the universe is it's not as complicated as we think it is. That's why it can be built so vastly. Is if you look at sacred geometry and the true roots of science, everything kind of comes back to core components. And for the majority of what we do and who we are as humans, especially on an emotional and spiritual level, it almost always comes back to love.
Okay, that's beautiful. I like the sound of that. Okay, looking ahead, what legacy are you trying to leave behind in terms of your work? Is it the book, the podcast, the Sivera Foundation? What is the main impact that you want to leave behind?
Suivera is definitely the legacy. We have a 1,000-year business plan. So
Okay.
we definitely are built to last.
I see. Okay. That would be great, especially after you suggested your 3-year plan. That makes sense. One last question before we wrap this up. Outside of the foundation, what's next for Amber? Are there more books, or is there a different version that we are taking the podcast completely differently, or what's next outside of the foundation?
So we are taking Silence Your Inner Critic and turning it into a graphic novel and an entire series that creates a comic book world, which is going to be so fun. That way we can hit ages 12 to 18. And then we'll turn it into children's books as well, so that as individuals, parents will have this book, Silence Your Inner Critic, to assist them. And then they can support their children so that maybe we can start silencing inner critics well before they get into adulthood. And they don't have to deal with the same 80% negative thinking that we've had to deal with in our lifetime. Maybe we can start trending that, and it's never going to be zero. I love your 20% rule, right? Or even 40%. But at least we can shift the differential and not have it be more negative than positive.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It was an honor. I really loved our conversation here. Thanks a lot.
Me too. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.